In this video, we're going off-grid camping with this solar setup, and we're going to tell you all about it. A simple solar setup can unlock you being able to camp from anywhere. And this is really why we got this. I mean, we're literally in the middle of a field, in the middle of nowhere in Tennessee, enjoying the beautiful leaves changing. And every day the sun provides enough to charge us up. We can power our Starlink, we can recharge all of our batteries that we want to use. We can even watch TV from inside the camper and enjoy beautiful sunsets like this. And then each day, as long as there's sun, it charges it back up. Oh, hey, look at that guy. You really could be missing some of the best camping spots if you love camping and love the outdoors that get unlocked when you have a solar generator and Starlink. In this video, we're going to break it down, but still keeping it really simple. But first, we're going to go over the reasons why and why I regret not having done this sooner. One of the most alluring places is probably the desert. There you've got plenty of sunshine, and with Starlink you could go almost anywhere. Since that's not close to where we live, that is one of the reasons why we got it, to be able to do that someday. But we do use Hipcamp, and it's one of the many websites that lets you look up places to camp that aren't official campgrounds. As we all know, a lot of times the campground can be crowded, and when you have the ability to go totally off-grid, it unlocks tons of additional options. I'm sure you see the same things as us here on YouTube. Amazing mountain views, BLM land, tons of areas that you can go when you can be totally off-grid. For us, the choice to get a camper in the first place was an investment in being able to unlock memories. And so this is basically a multiplier for us. It allows us to make the most of the investment that we made already in our camper. We started off with a gas generator. You're out trying to enjoy the peace and quiet and the serenity, and then you've got this loud, noisy generator. Whenever there's anybody even remotely nearby, I feel bad every time we turn it on. Really, the answer is just solar in general, but we chose a solar generator for its simplicity. I think if you are a full-time RVer and you really need it to be able to stay off-grid for long periods of time, building your own solar setup is definitely the answer. But it is more expensive, and it does mean that you have to actually pay somebody to do the installation or invest in the couple weekends doing the installation yourselves. So if you're just looking to get started, or you're just looking to do this on the weekend and on like weekend trips, solar generators are a simple solution. So what is a solar generator and what is our specific setup? That's what we're going to cover in the rest of this video. And my wife doesn't like it when I get too nerdy, and so even though I have a technical background, I'm going to try to keep this simple. It's basically a big battery with all the things you need to be able to use it as a power station combined with solar panels. I think the reason why it's called a solar generator is simply because most people know what a generator is and how that's used, and it's just a familiar term. The reason why we picked our particular solar generator is because of the fact that it has a plug right on it, a 30 amp plug that our camper uses, and we can plug our camper directly into it. There is an actual less expensive option that I wish I had considered more heavily that I'll cover at the end of the video. Being self-contained in one box means there's no installation to do. You just plug your camper into it and plug the solar panels into it, and that's all you have to do. We've got a portable solar panel, and then we've got a solar generator in the bed of the truck. This allows us to basically be off-grid anywhere we go. I'll leave a little present for Beekeeper. Those cables right there go to the solar panel, and then we plug our camper right into it. And there it is right there. So at its core, it's really just a big battery, and the battery is basically like a bucket. I told you I was going to try to keep this simple. And the size of the bucket is expressed in kilowatt hours. So that's probably the nerdiest term that I'm going to use, so that's as nerdy as it gets. Our particular one is 3.6 kilowatt hours. That means that's the size of the bucket. You can think of it kind of like a container of gas and how many gallons of gas it contains. It's how many kilowatt hours it contains. Ours is an Ecoflow Delta Pro, which gives us the 3.6 kilowatt hours. That's the size of the bucket, but also gives us the plug to be able to plug our camper directly into it. And then the solar panels are basically how much energy you can pour into it. Building on the bucket analogy, the solar panels would be basically how much energy you can collect and dump into the bucket every day. So we've decided to go with the 400 watt solar panels from Ecoflow. With our particular setup, what this means is we have enough battery power, our bucket is big enough to be able to do the things that we want to do when we're boondocking for 2 or 3 days, and then the solar panel can basically charge it under perfect conditions all the way topped up. And of course, hardly ever do you get ideal conditions. Refilled our battery to about 82%, and that'll be plenty for make it through the night and on until tomorrow. This is on the back, and these are your charging options. So you can plug in right there if you want to just plug it into your house, and it charges super quick. I think all the way from start to finish in like 2 hours. And then in our case, since we're doing solar, we're going to plug the solar in right there. So you just plug it in like that and you're good to go. But this is really why we got it. You can plug your rig right into the side, so we can just plug our RV directly into it, and then we're good to go. And then our whole camper is powered by the sun. And yes, you did see a regular old generator right next to it. This is just in case. If we have a cloudy day, we could charge it up, and that still lets us have the freedom to be right here. Our particular setup is expandable with additional batteries and solar panels. More on that in a minute. But first, let's talk about what we actually can and can't do with our setup. First off, for us, this is a mild weather setup, so that we use this in conditions where we don't need to run the air conditioner. Yes, we could fully cap it out, fully expand it. It'd be really expensive, and we'd be able to run our air conditioner on it. But for us, that's not what we decided to do. We look for times like now when the weather is good and we can just leave the windows open and we don't have to run the AC. That's number one. We look for mild conditions when we don't have to run the AC, can leave the windows open and stay perfectly cool. Number two is our fridge runs off of both electricity and propane. So we can simply run off of propane. It uses about 600 watts or so, cycling on and off. And so it does, we could technically make it work with this setup, but we probably have to expand to quite a bit to be able to accommodate that. And number three is that we do run a heater with this setup, but when we do, we use our propane heater instead of an electric heater. And so now let's talk about what we can do with this. The main thing is we can make our coffee in the morning. Of course, we could make our coffee using a camping setup, a camping stove, and we have done that before, but it allows us to use our regular old coffee maker and the convenience of being able to make coffee in the morning. We also can charge all of our phones, all of our camera gear, and run our computers during the day. I actually use a 4K TV instead of multiple monitors on my computer setup, and it runs that just fine. Now let's talk about the expandability. For us, this is just big enough a bucket to totally unlock what we want to do. We can actually add 4 of these solar panels total. We'll probably expand to another solar panel. That way we can for sure top it off even in non-ideal conditions. So who knows, we may end up growing it even further in the future. We selected this particular relatively expensive solar panel on purpose because it's only 45 pounds for being rated at 400 watts. In reality, no solar panels actually produce the watts that they say that they have in their rating. Realistically, produces about 350 watts on a normal sunny day. In terms of batteries, you can add 4 additional backup batteries. That's enough to power most homes. It gives you a gigantic bucket of like 25 kilowatt hours instead of 3.6. You could go that big, but we don't need to. The solar generator itself is about 100 pounds. That's enough to where I can lift it up and put it in the truck by myself, but Beekeeper won't let me. She makes me let us share the load. Probably a good idea, otherwise it might hurt my back. So a quick word on price. So our total setup is about $4,000, which probably sounds like a lot, but as I mentioned before, this is a multiplier for our camper. So this allows us to be able to use our investment in our camper to unlock tons of additional adventures. The Ecoflow Delta 2 Max is relatively new. I think it's their newest one. It has 2 kilowatt hours. So instead of 3.6 kilowatt hour bucket, it's a 2 kilowatt bucket. So it's a little bit smaller. It maxes out at 1,000 watts, so you can only fit a little bit more than 2 of these portable solar panels in it. but it is expandable itself. The thing is, it doesn't have one of those 30 amp plugs to plug your camper directly into it, but it does have a thing called X Boost, so it can temporarily boost up to 30 amps. So if you just use one of those adapters to plug into a regular AC outlet, it actually can provide 30 amps for the types of things that we would need it for, like our air conditioner spinning up and things like that. I think if I'd known about that one when I got ours, I would have heavily considered it, because it's probably enough storage, only 50 pounds, so I'd be able to easily put it in and out of the truck. And I could always expand it with another battery if I needed to. And I really think that as long as we do fair weather camping, probably the two 400 watt solar panels is the most we'd ever max out to. We're really happy with our Ecoflow Delta Pro and our single 400 watt solar panel. We'll probably get another one. If I were to do it again, I think I would heavily consider the Delta 2 Max and the same 2 solar panels. We're excited for all the adventures that this is going to unlock.
Yay.
I hope you enjoyed watching this. I hope we inspired you to check out some of the options yourself and enjoy some of the locations like the ones that we're at right now.